Hi, it's a cold one out there today. We have a big storm and there's more storm coming. So I'm huddling inside, reading my Bible and doing a little bit of study. I came across today in my email actually a Hebrews 10, 24. And it said, let us consider to stir one another up to love and good works. So that's what the quote said. So I'm going to look it up in my New King James Bible and see what it says. So that's Hebrews 10:24. And while I'm doing that, I want you to be thinking, what is a way that you could stir somebody up to love one another? How can you help somebody else to love one another? I mean, let's think about it for a minute. We can love other people ourselves, but how do we encourage somebody else to want to do the same thing? What's that? You said you could live by example? That is a great idea. Yeah, I like that one. Live by example. That's what Jesus did, right? And we're supposed to follow his example. So if we live by his example, then somebody else can live by our example of his example. I think Paul talked about that a little bit too. Let's see. Hebrews. I went to Romans. Sorry, guys. I'm going a little bit slow on this one here. But let's see. Put down in the comments below what you would do to show somebody how to love one another. I mean, obviously, you're not going to go around hugging on everybody because that's not exactly what it means. Although that's sometimes fun. Okay, I'm in Hebrews. I'm at Hebrews 6. Let's go to 10. Did you get there already? I bet you did. Let's see. Oh, here's 10. And then I want verse 24. So what does it say here? Let's see. So I have it. And I'm actually going to go back to verse 23, because it says, let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. Let's see, is faithful. And let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works, not forsaking, this is verse 25, this is good too. Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as is the manner of some, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. Now, a lot of times we think about this not forsaking assembling together or gathering together as when we go to church. But do you know what? One way that we can share love with one another is actually getting together with someone and going for coffee. Or going out to lunch, or going for a walk, you know. Call your neighbor up or walk over to your neighbor's house and say, hey, I'm going for a walk. You want to come with me? And you can walk along and talk and share conversation with one another. And that is one way that we can share the way to encourage one another and encouraging one another to good works. Now, what can we do to encourage someone into good works? Because we talked about encouraging one another to love one another by loving others so that it goes on, you know. But so to encourage one another for good works is by doing something for someone that is good. That's one thing, right? But another thing that you can do is literally call someone out when they are doing the wrong thing. Yeah, I know that's hard. We don't all want to do that. But sometimes we just have to say, hey, don't be talking like that. My daughter's pretty good at doing that to me. She actually helps me to stop talking bad about myself. And she will say, hey, don't say that about my mom. Or she'll say something similar to that, like, stop lying to yourself, or stop lying, because that's not what my God says about you. And that's not what I see. So she's pretty good at encouraging me in that. And so that's another way that we can do, what we can do to help encourage someone. That actually covers both of those bases, doesn't it? And it actually also, if we're hanging out with someone, maybe go to the gym with them or something, then we are not forsaking assembling together. But make sure that when you're hanging with your friend at coffee, you're not just dishing on other people. Make sure that you're sharing the good things that God's doing in your life, at least once in the conversation. Swap stories of what God is doing in your life. And yeah, that's a good idea right there. Just let's use that as our goal today, okay? So tomorrow, it's New Year's Eve. By the way, it's day 30 of our countdown to 2023. So it's New Year's Eve tomorrow. So before the end of this year, I want you to gather together with somebody, sit down with them, and have a swap story time. Say, okay, this is what God did for me this year. What did he do for you? And then they can tell you. And you can start with little tiny things. You don't have to say all the big things like, oh my gosh, God paid off my mortgage, or God gave me a brand new car. Well, you know, those are exciting things, but God brought the person that I am going to marry into my life. I mean, there's like so many things. I was healed. There's, you know, those are the big things. But even the little things like, you know, my car was out of gas and somebody gave me a tank of gas. Or I ran out of bread and I didn't have anything to make a sandwich for my kids for school. And my neighbor came over because they had an extra loaf. Things like that are God blessing you. So think of those kind of stories, you know? Yeah, that's a really, really fun thing. I'm going to do that tomorrow too. All the people in my house, we're going to play that. We're going to play, we'll call it playing, but we're going to say, what did God do for you this year? And then we can swap stories back and forth for a while and see what God did and give him the glory for it all. And I think that's about it. This is getting long, and I will see you tomorrow. One more before the end of the year. God bless you. Leave your comments below. Don't forget the thumbs up.